Look at your kitchen table. I mean, really look at it. A loaf of bread back in 2020 would set you back about $1.50. By the time we hit early 2026, you're lucky to find a decent loaf for under $4. The media, the talking heads, the experts, they all have names for it. They call it supply chain friction. They call it transitory echoes. They want you to believe it's just a glitch in the global machine. It isn't a glitch. It's the intended feature of the new economy. While you were distracted by the price of eggs, something tectonic happened in the 13F filings. And if you aren't paying attention, you're going to be the one left holding the bill for a world you no longer own. In online financial circles, a narrative emerged claiming that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust had executed a dramatic, shock-inducing retreat. As of early 2026, there is no independently verified evidence that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation Trust executed a sudden single-quarter liquidation of Microsoft shares on the scale often claimed online. Historically, Microsoft has remained a core holding of the foundation, with its position reduced gradually over decades as part of diversification, grant funding, and risk management, not as a panic exit from technology markets. A rapid $8+ billion liquidation would have dominated financial media coverage, appeared consistently across multiple SEC filings, and triggered weeks of institutional analysis. The absence of such corroboration matters. The signal, therefore, is not a dramatic dump, but a long-term reallocation of capital away from digital growth assets toward inflation-resilient physical assets. Why would the most sophisticated investor on the planet exit the ultimate safe bet of big tech? It's because he is front-running a structural reset. While the public is being told to buy the dip and bet on the AI revolution, the smart money is moving into hard, finite assets that you can touch, smell, and most importantly, eat. The official story is always about diversification or philanthropy, but the data shows a different hidden why. Gates isn't just buying dirt, he is buying the choke points of human survival. Through his investment vehicle, Cascade Investment LLC, he has quietly become the largest private owner of farmland in America, holding over 275,000 acres across 19 states. When the architect of the digital age trades bits for bricks and soil, he is signaling that the paper currency used to buy those bits is losing its tether to reality. He isn't betting on the next Windows update. He's betting on the fact that no matter how advanced AI gets, you still need 2,000 calories a day to stay alive. This is the ultimate visual paradox. On your screen, everything looks digital, fast, and infinite. On the ground, the wealthiest man in the room is grabbing the most finite analog resource in existence. He is trading the cloud for the clod. If you think this is just about growing corn, you are falling for the distraction. This is about the information gap. While you were sleeping, a hidden footnote in these filings turned your savings into a potential bomb. You see, when a billionaire exits tech and enters land, they aren't just looking for growth. They are looking for uncancelable yield. You can cancel a Netflix subscription. You can skip a phone upgrade. You cannot cancel your hunger. By moving into the soil, Gates is positioning himself to be the landlord of your dinner plate. Here's your first survival signal of this investigation. I investigate the economic crimes committed against your wallet, and this land grab is the mother of them all. The 1% are exiting digital promises and entering physical necessities. If your entire net worth is tied up in apps, safe index funds, or digital tokens, you aren't an investor. You are the exit liquidity for the people who know what is coming next. They are selling you the high-priced future while they buy back the past at a discount. But here's the real kicker. He isn't just buying the land. He is buying the machines that till it and the rails that move it. We are talking about a vertically aligned asset stack, legal, fragmented, and decentralized on paper, but economically reinforcing in practice. Most people see a billionaire buying acreage and think it's a tax hedge. They are thinking like checkers players, while Gates is playing four-dimensional chess with your pantry. He understands that in a world of infinite money printing, the only things that matter are the things you can't print more of. Water, soil, energy. If you don't own the source, you are just a tenant in someone else's empire. Wait, look at this. If you think the land is the end of the story, you're missing the smoking gun. There are 3 major receipts that prove this is a coordinated strike on the middle-class wallet. I've just shown you the first one, the widely circulated claim of a massive exit from digital growth assets. But the second smoking gun is hidden in the boring machinery stocks that most people ignore. It's a vertical trap, and it's closing faster than you think. A black swan event is lurking in the fine print of these deeds, and I am going to break it down for you in 90 seconds in the next part of this investigation. The safe haven isn't gold. It isn't Bitcoin. It's something else entirely, and I'll reveal it at the very end. But first, we have to look at the moat. We have to look at how they returned the green revolution into a weapon against your bank account. Most people see a billionaire buying up chunks of the heartland and they think tax hedge. They think it's just a rich man, his way of parking cash where the IRS can find it. They are thinking like checkers players in a game of Grandmaster chess. Gates isn't just parking cash. He is building a moat around your pantry, and he's using your own tax dollars and consumer habits to fund the construction. To understand the hidden why here, you have to look past the dirt. You have to look at the gatekeeper industries that surround the dirt. This is the vertical trap, and it's a strategy designed to ensure that no matter who grows the food, Gates gets a piece of the transaction. Look at the other names in the Cascade Investment portfolio. While the media was obsessed with his divorce or his latest book on climate change, the data shows he was quietly deepening his stakes in the most unsexy companies on the planet. Take John Deere. Gates has been a top shareholder in Deere & Co. for years. Now, why does that matter to you? Because in 2026, a tractor isn't just a piece of iron, it's a rolling computer. Through right-to-repair restrictions and proprietary software locks, John Deere has effectively turned farmers into subscribers of their own equipment. The farmer doesn't own the tractor in the way your grandfather did. He leases the right to use the software that makes the tractor move. Wait, look at this. If Gates owns the land and he owns a massive chunk of the company that makes the only machines capable of tilling that land at scale, he has created a closed loop. This is not a literal vertical monopoly. Bill Gates does not control seed patents, fertilizer markets, food processing, retail pricing, or agricultural exports. Ownership must not be confused with command. However, what is emerging is a structural asymmetry. Large pools of patient capital can acquire farmland, minority stakes in agricultural technology firms, and exposure to logistics infrastructure, while small and mid-sized farmers face rising financing costs, regulatory complexity, and razor-thin margins. The result is not centralized control, but systemic leverage, influence over essential inputs without direct operational responsibility. But the trap doesn't stop at the edge of the field. Once the grain is grown, it has to move. Enter the Canadian National Railway. Gates owns nearly 10% of the company. This isn't some nostalgic hobby for trains. This is about the Iron Silk Road. In North America, if you want to move massive quantities of grain, potash, or fertilizer from the Midwest to the global shipping ports, you are using the rail. You have no choice. It is a natural monopoly. Holding equity in major rail operators does not equate to direct control over grain logistics. Rail pricing is regulated, contract-based, and competes with trucking and inland waterways. The relevance of rail exposure lies elsewhere. Transportation infrastructure represents a natural bottleneck industry with long asset lives, pricing power over time, and inflation pass-through characteristics, traits that attract institutional capital in periods of monetary instability. Every time a bushel of wheat moves toward your grocery store, a fraction of a cent or a fraction of a dollar drops into the bucket of the man who owns the tracks. Think of it like this. If the economy is an addiction, money printing is the drug, and Gates is the guy who owns the rehab center, the pharmacy, and the ambulance. He is betting on the collapse of the digital promise while he secures the physical reality. While you are being told that the future is in the metaverse, he is buying the rails that move the real world. This is how the moat works. It creates a barrier to entry so high that the independent 30-year-old farmer can't even get in the game. When a 1,000-acre farm in Iowa goes up for sale, that young farmer goes to the bank and sees a 7% interest rate. Cascade Investment walks in with balance sheet flexibility built over decades of capital reallocation. Who do you think wins that auction? This is where the theft happens. It's not a guy with a mask and a gun. It's structural displacement. When the independent farmer is priced out, the corporate farm takes over. Corporate farms don't care about your local community or keeping the price of bread stable for your family. They care about global arbitrage. If they can get 5 cents more per bushel by shipping American grain to Dubai or Beijing, they will do it in a heartbeat, even if it means the shelves in your local Kroger are empty or double the price. Your grocery bill isn't rising just because of inflation. It's rising because the supply chain has been verticalized by the ultra-wealthy. How does this steal money from a hardworking family tomorrow? It happens through the death of competition. In a free market, competition keeps prices down. But when the land, the machines, and the transport are all owned or influenced by the same small circle of institutional giants, the market is an illusion. It's a company store model on a global scale. You're living in a town owned by the mine, buying your food from the mine's grocery store, using tools rented from the mine owner. Here is your survival signal. The smart money is no longer chasing 100x gains in the latest tech fad. They are chasing uncancelable yield. They are moving into old world assets because they know world financial system is built on a foundation of sand and debt. When the elite move into railways and soil, they are signaling a total lack of faith in the very system they helped build. They are moving to higher ground before the dam breaks. But there is a second smoking gun. It's even more invisible than the land, and it's hidden in the water rights. In the next part, I'm going to show you why blue gold is the real reason Gates is buying the desert, and how a boring law passed in the dark of night is about to turn your kitchen faucet into a luxury subscription. We've established that Farmer Bill owns the dirt, the machines, and the tracks. But now we have to talk about the black swan. Hidden in the fine print of these land deeds, the one thing that makes the land actually worth owning in a collapsing economy. I'm talking about water rights. In the investigative world, we call this blue gold, and if you think the land grab was aggressive, the water grab is surgical. In the American West and the heartland, land is essentially a liability unless you have the senior rights to the water beneath it. You can own 10,000 acres of Arizona or Nebraska, but if you don't have the legal right to pump from the aquifer, you own a very expensive sandbox. While the world is being distracted by debates over carbon credits and saving the planet, Gates and the institutional elite are quietly positioning themselves for the great thirst. Look at the Ogallala Aquifer. This is one of the world's largest underground water sources, a massive subterranean lake stretching under 8 states from South Dakota down to Texas. It's the lifeblood of American agriculture. But here's the hidden why. The aquifer is being depleted at a rate of unreplenishable billions of gallons a year. By 2026, the cost of pumping that water from 500 feet down has tripled because of skyrocketing energy costs. When Cascade Investment buys a massive tract in North Dakota or Arizona, they aren't just buying the topsoil for the corn. They are acquiring aquifer access. In many states, water rights are severable. This means you can sell the land to a developer, but keep the water rights for yourself, or vice versa. Water scarcity is real, particularly in regions dependent on stressed aquifers such as the Ogallala. But U.S. water rights are governed at the state level, fragmented and frequently contested. Senior rights are often held by local users, municipalities, or irrigation districts, not quietly centralized actors. The risk is not a hidden national takeover of water, but localized scarcity interacting with capital concentration, rising energy costs for pumping, and weak replenishment rates. These forces increase the value of land with secure water access, without requiring conspiracy or coordination. Capital concentration tends to flow toward land parcels with secure senior access water rights, because those assets survive inflation, scarcity, and currency instability better than almost anything else. Think of the US dollar as a stopwatch. Every time the Fed prints another trillion, the time, the purchasing power, on your watch speeds up. Your $100 today will only buy $80 worth of life tomorrow. But farmland, specifically land with water, is the reverse stopwatch. As the dollar devalues, the price of the commodity grown with that water, corn, soy, wheat, rises in lockstep. It is the perfect pass-through entity for inflation. While you are frantically searching for a high-yield savings account that pays 4 or 5%, while real-world inflation is sitting at 7 or 8, Gates is sitting on an asset that provides a triple layer of protection. First, you have the rental income from the farmers. Second, you have the commodity appreciation as food prices rise. And third, you have the land value spikes as arable land becomes more scarce. Wait, look at this. The amount of arable land in the US is shrinking by roughly 2 million acres every single year due to urban sprawl and soil degradation. Scarcity is the ultimate driver of value. By capturing the water and the land now, Gates is ensuring that he is the one holding the reverse stopwatch when the currency finally hits zero. How does this blue gold siphon steal money from your family tomorrow? It happens at the kitchen faucet in the grocery aisle. When water becomes a private commodity owned by institutional giants, the cost of production for everything you eat goes up. These costs aren't absorbed by the billionaires, they are passed directly to you. Your grocery bill isn't high just because of greed. It's high because the input costs, the water, the seeds, the fertilizer, are being engineered and taxed by the people who own the inputs. Most families are falling for the cash is safe trap. They think, I'll just sit in my savings account and wait for the market to crash, then I'll buy the dip. That is exactly what the 1% want you to do. They want you to hold the melting ice cube while they trade their ice for the freezer. If you are waiting for a correction to buy in, you are missing the fact that they are removing the inventory. Every acre Gates or a hedge fund buys is an acre that will likely never hit the open market again. It goes into a multi-generational trust, locked away from the common investor forever. Here is your survival signal. The smart money has stopped betting on what people want, tech, gadgets, luxury, and started betting on what people need, the calories and hydration. If you're looking for a hedge, don't look at the flashing lights of Wall Street. Look at the boring assets that the elite are quietly hoarding. But there's a darker layer to this. It's not just about ownership, it's about control. In the next part, I'm going to show you the impact investing shield, how they are using climate change as a legal weapon to bankrupt the small farmer and turn your food supply into a monthly subscription service. Here is where the detective work gets uncomfortable. To understand the hidden why, you have to look at the language they use to wrap these deals. They don't call it a monopoly. They don't call it resource capture. They call it impact investing. This is the ultimate information gap. If I told you I was buying up all the oxygen and I was going to charge you for it, you'd riot in the streets. As the saying goes, if I told you I was buying the air and charging you for it, you'd riot. But call it sustainability, and people might thank you. That is the play here. In 2024 and 2025, a new trend emerged in the institutional land registries that most people completely missed. Gates-linked entities and major agricultural funds began implementing what are known as environmental covenants on their leased land. This is the smoking gun that turns a simple land grab into a total system of control. If you are a tenant farmer on land owned by a billionaire's trust, you don't just pay rent in cash, you pay in compliance. You're forced to follow a prescriptive management plan. This plan dictates everything: which seeds you can plant, which fertilizers you are allowed to buy, and which carbon monitoring software you must install on your tractors. And wait, look at this. Who owns the patents on those seeds? Who owns the companies making those specific green fertilizers? Who owns the data mining software in the tractor? It's the same circle of impact investors. This is how they create a dual-class food system. Tier 1 is the premium tier. This is food grown on corporate-owned land, labeled climate smart or carbon neutral, and priced for the top 10% of the population. Tier 2 is the scarcity tier. This is what's left for everyone else as the independent family farms go bankrupt under the weight of the psycho-compliance costs. A small farmer in Iowa with 500 acres can't afford the $50,000 software suite and the specialized impact fertilizer required to get the green label. He gets squeezed out. When that small farm fails, who is standing there with a bag of cash to save the land? The same people who lobbied for the regulations that killed the farm in the first place. This is structural theft. They devalue your currency through inflation so you can't save. They regulate your competition out of existence. They capture the essential resource, and then, here is the pivot, they rent it back to you as a subscription. How does this hit your wallet tomorrow? It's the regulatory squeeze. When the largest landowner in the country advocates for climate-smart agriculture in DC, he isn't just saving the planet. He is raising the cost of doing business. So high that the middle class can no longer participate in the production of their own survival. Your grocery bill isn't high because of a bad harvest. It's high because you are paying a green premium that was engineered in a boardroom to fund a billionaire's dividend. Think of it like this. The subscription model that took over your software, your movies, and your music is now coming for your calories. You used to own a DVD. Now you pay Netflix every month or the screen goes black. You used to own a car. Now you lease the features. Now, they want a world where you don't own the farmer doesn't own the land, and you don't own your food security. You pay a monthly fee to the gatekeepers of the supply chain, or you don't eat. Here is your survival signal. The goal of the elite is not just to be rich. They have all the money they can ever spend. The goal is capture. They are moving from ownership to access. They want to be the ones who control your access to the physical world. If you can be unplugged from your food supply with the flip of a switch or a change in a management plan, you are no longer a citizen, you are a subject. But don't lose hope. There is a way out. While they are buying up whole states, they have left a black swan door wide open. In the final part of this investigation, I'm going to show you the one asset class that the smart money is using to bypass this land grab entirely, and why the safe haven you've been told to buy is actually a cage. This is where we close the folder and look at the map to the exit. We've seen the hidden why. We've tracked the long-term capital reallocation narrative surrounding Microsoft and other digital growth assets. We've unmasked the blue gold water grab and the impact. Regulations designed to turn your dinner plate into a monthly subscription service. But there is a final black swan loop we have to close. Everyone tells you that gold is the ultimate safe haven. They tell you to buy bars and coins to hide under your mattress. But let's look at the data through the eyes of a detective. Gold is a defensive shield, not a sword. You can't eat it, it doesn't grow, and it has zero yield. Most importantly, the elite don't just want to protect their wealth, they want to multiply their control while the dollar dies. While the masses were being told to buy gold or buy the crypto dip, the smart money was building a bypass. In 2026, the data shows a massive, quiet surge in fractional farmland ownership. This is the secret strategy for those who don't have 89 billion but want to sit at the same table as the giants. This argument does not require a villain, a cabal, or secret coordination. What we are witnessing is a rational response to incentives. Decades of cheap money, regulatory complexity, demographic turnover among landowners, and capital's natural preference for scarce, inflation-linked assets with long-time horizons. Pension funds, insurance companies, university endowments, and sovereign wealth funds are following the same logic, not because of ideology, but because the system rewards scale, patience, and permanence. The danger, therefore, is structural rather than conspiratorial. And structural problems do not announce themselves with villains. They emerge quietly through incentives. Look at the 13F filings of major institutional pension funds and sovereign wealth funds. They aren't just buying gold bars. They are moving into farmland REITs, real estate investment trusts, like Gladstone Land and Farmland Partners. These aren't just stocks. They are title deeds wrapped in a ticker symbol. They allow you to capture the triple yield Gates is chasing, rental income from farmers, the rising price of the crops, and the explosive appreciation of the land itself. Wait, look at this. The elite are betting that by 2030, the average person will own nothing and be happy. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a business model. They want you to lease your software, lease your car, and eventually lease your access to food and water. To break that cycle, you have to shift from being a consumer to being a sovereign. If you want to beat the land grab, you have to stop playing their game of access and start playing the game of sovereignty. The goal isn't to be a billionaire, the goal is to be uncancelable. Here is your final survival signal and your 3-step exit strategy. First, secure your seed sovereignty. Gates and his partners are heavily invested in synthetic biology and patented, non-replicating seeds. By buying and storing heirloom, non-hybrid seeds today, you are holding the one thing their patents can't touch. It is the ultimate middle finger to a vertical monopoly. Second, look at the dirt tickers. If you can't buy a 100-acre farm, use the same tools the institutions use. Fractional ownership platforms and farmland REITs allow you to jump the fence. When inflation hits 10% and bread prices double, these assets don't just hold value. They capture the profit from that inflation. You become the landlord, not the tenant. Third, and most importantly, perform a water audit on your life. The smart money is moving to regions with senior water rights and stable aquifers. If you're looking to buy land or a home, the hidden why should be the groundwater, not the granite countertops. In a world of blue gold, the person with the well is king. The 13F filings don't lie. The gradual reduction of exposure to Microsoft was not a change of heart or a sudden pivot toward charity. It reflects a long-term calculated shift in capital allocation, away from faith in perpetual digital growth and toward assets anchored in physical necessity. The digital gold rush is over. The physical resource war is here. The window is narrowing. Every acre that Cascade Investment or a Wall Street hedge fund buys is an acre that is removed from the free market forever. You can either be the person paying the green premium to a Billionaires foundation just to feed your family, or you can be the person who owns a piece of the machine. I'm SacroEconomics. I'm an investigative detective, not a financial advisor. I've shown you the receipts, I've shown you the hidden why, and I've shown you the exit. Now, go do your homework and secure your perimeter before the gate is locked for good.